Good morning, Tennis Showdown. Welcome to Off Court, the very first episode in our podcast of pre-game shows. I'm here with my co-host Gamer, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So, Gamer, gotta tell, the first thing we gotta bring up is the man in the back of us. Isn't that right?
Yes, today is indeed a very special day for that man.
Yes, it is Hanzo's birthday. Hanzo was the number 2 ranked player in court, so we wish him a happy birthday. I don't know his age, but definitely, definitely a great occasion. And it just so happens his birthday falls on the Season 6 opener. The Cancer Challenger will be coming. Oh, and there he goes. The Cancer Challenger will be coming up in just about 7 hours from now. I believe that's right. Yeah, 7 hours from now. And so we have to, I think a good talking point to start off with here is just how you think the season is going to go. Jola's just coming off his perfect season with little to no resistance from the rest of the league. So do you think that's going to be different this season?
Absolutely. I really think that's going to be different, and not only because of one individual that's going to be a rival, but I think the level is going to be higher than other seasons. I don't know. I feel the excitement, and I've seen people like Blacknut hit a few balls, and Blacknut seems to be improving. So I feel like this season is going to be on a higher level from everyone. Like the average is going to improve.
All right. So you think that the competition overall is going to be tighter, but the question is, will anybody stop Jola from getting a back-to-back perfect season?
Well, predicting a whole season is difficult, but I will say, even if I think it's more likely that Jola will win again, I will think there will be resistance. Like, there will be some matchups that will decide the fate of the season. Absolutely, I do think that.
All right. Something to point out is that Jola had a 79-1 record last season, coming off one of the great, what I believe to be the most immaculate season in all of court history. It comes to mind if there will be anyone to really top that. Has he really established himself as the GOAT forever?
Oh, I do think the answer is yes, but there could be some things that change that. For example, shorter seasons make it more possible for other people to win. But I think for now, the answer is yes, because I don't see someone as hungry as Jola has been for this long. But you never know. You never know. But for now, it's like I would say it's like how likely Jola is to win this season. Like, Jola is the favorite to be the GOAT of all time as well. But I don't think it's fully decided. I think it's just like, I'm going to say 80% chance.
80% chance. All right. I like the idea. Jumping back, however, to the prospects for Season 6. We got the same season. It was a really rocky ending to Season 5. Had that burst of attendance later on, but obviously struggling to come up with players to even run the tournament. I just want to know if you think player attendance will increase, decrease, will stay the same, if there's any chance that court could potentially pick up some more players, and how many of those players are willing to stay dedicated to the league.
I am betting on that it's going to increase. Not only are veterans going to show up more, I do think new players are really excited to learn. I've been asked already to coach a lot of them. So they seem excited and willing to learn. So I do think the attendance is going to be up. I do think veterans are going to be more, they're going to be here more on average,
All right, I get what you're saying. If you don't mind, who are some of the people that you've coached, and who do you think will be making a big impact this season? Obviously, someone I would say is Tilted, who is returning after missing out the entirety of Season 5 after he left halfway through Season 4. And we all know how Tilted is on the clay specifically. So I would say that's going to be really interesting coming into the next quarter, the second quarter of the season when we hit the clay, to see if Tilted could potentially restore his dominance on that surface.
Yeah, I mean, Tilted is a heck of a player. His presence does warp does change a lot of matchups, tournament results. Although I did play Tilted, I don't think I played him enough where I consider myself his coach. We're training partners more than anything, I say. But yeah, Tilted definitely is a very influential player. But I would say, like right now, I'm coaching mostly newer players. But for example, even Dom asked for my coaching, so let's see how that goes. Maybe he improves, or I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I think this poses once again the important question. Okay, so we already established that it's gonna be very tough for someone to surpass Jola, as far as GOAT status. But do you think anyone can beat him this season? And who has the best chance, and on what surface and what tournament format? Like, for example, do you think, for example, someone has better chances beating Jola when it's only 1 set, or 3 sets, or 5 sets, and so on and so forth?
Well, I think the surface has to be as slow as possible. So I will say clay. Jola, don't get me wrong, Jola is so balanced and has such good, Jola is so good at everything that clay is not even like a counter. It's just like, it's slightly worse, just slightly. So your safest bet is clay. Format, I think the less the sets, the better, because Jola normally doesn't have to adapt much. But Joe thinks a lot when he has to. It doesn't look like it because, he's so dominant, he can just play normally. But when he's struggling against, for example, Yakimi or Tilted, he's definitely thinking about what can I do different? So the longer the sets, the more sets basically, the more Joe's going to adapt. And you don't want that. You want an easy, quick win that tilts Jola. So I'm saying Clay playing really slow, 1 set, or even 2 sets if you're that good at adapting in Jola. And who has the most chances? Honestly, this might come as a surprise.
Oh?
Well, but I am betting on Blacknut. This is a bit weird.
No, I don't think it's weird at all, because I remember last season, Blacknut forced the king into a third set on the grass, which is already as hard enough to do, I would imagine, considering the fact grass is such a fast-paced surface. So, Blacknut is definitely a nice bet. I have my personal bet on Tilted, obviously, because I'm biased. Just because I consider Tilted, as I've said it many times before, Tilted is the king of clay. Because whenever coming up against the likes of Jola, he never lost. On the clay, at the very least. So you got this Rafa Nadal situation, like for real, where you have this one person who's just dominant on this one surface, but for example, when coming onto the grass or to the hard courts, it's not as not the same type of dominance that we see. We see that more with Jola. So this might start to look like a Nadal versus Djokovic type matchup, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. It just depends if Tilted is back on his prime or not. I think that depends only on that.
Well, according to what he was saying yesterday when I was in game, he said that he was actually better than Prime Tilted, which is quite interesting.
Excuse me? That's a bold claim. Okay.
That is a very bold claim. I agree.
I need to see that. I need to see that to believe it.
I don't have photographic evidence, but he was claiming that he was better than Prime Tilted.
Okay, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, Season 6 is going to be interesting, by the way, Mblade. By the way, for anyone that's watching the stream, if you want to comment or make any statement, we will have Open Court, which is the little Q&A segment we do at the end of the stream later on. So if you want to participate in that, for anyone watching, be sure to hop into the game, which is linked below, and just join the League server when you hit the menu. We'll be here for you. We're here on center court right now. let's take the discussion further. Um, so you said your best bet was Black Nut. Mine was Tilted. Do you think there's anyone else like someone that is someone that I find is a strange anomaly? I would like to say is Dom, because of the fact that he's always been the runner up. Probably more than 75% of the time, especially last season. Like, if you look at that champions list, it's literally just Jola as the champion and the finalist is Dom. So, do you think there's any chance of Dom beating Jola? He was the sole loss for Jola in that 79-1 record. So, do you think there's any chance Dom beats Jola again? And if so, how many times do you think he can do it? And, like, again, what surface, what format?
To be honest, I do think now, seeing how he has played recently, I don't think he can do it. I think in the past he had more chances, but I feel like I don't know if it's just been his internet issues, but I really feel like he hasn't been able to compete on that level that we've seen him, and definitely on clay. Again, not only because it's slower, so Joe wants to play faster. Not only because of that, but I feel like Dom really enjoys grinding down people. And by enjoys, it's more like not that he has fun doing it, but he does it anyways. It's like he does it on default, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So he's comfortable doing that. So
Yes.
Clay, but I really don't think I think Dom. This may be a bold claim, but I think Dom has as many chances as I have, or even less.
Wow. So, okay. I think that brings up another discussion point. Just a really small tangent here. So Amblade, just taking a look at the court rankings, I'm just gonna pull them up real quick. But Amblade did finish second in the
Yep.
rankings towards the very end of the season, racking up a total of 5,080 points. Still not even close to Jola's 12,580, obviously.
Yep.
Jola more than doubling that second place position in regards to points. But that just brings the question. Amblade was second, you were fourth, Woolward was eight. Do you think there is a resurgence of simple players in the league? Because I think that's a very interesting idea to see where the simple players will finish. Like, I'll give you an example. Last season in season 4, Amblade finished fourth and Woolward finished 10th. So not an overwhelming, and if you want to include it, Terminator, I don't think he played simple that season, finished 11th, and you finished 14th. But if you want to, bring up that idea, you're starting to see this shift of simple players moving into the top spots. So I have to ask, what do you think is going to happen this season in regards to simple versus advanced matchups? Which has the advantage on what surface, what format, and so on?
Yeah. So I think even though there has definitely been an increase of level of the simple players, I definitely feel like they've been here, even though sometimes they're underrated, they've always been here. For example, if you look at the King of Court finals matchups, 3 out of the 5 have had a simple player. Woolward 2 times and me 1 time. So, and it's not easy reaching a Kings of Court finals. So simple players have always been there. Maybe they not have been as consistent, of course, but I think it's always been in the background. They've always been grinding, and I do think they're better now, obviously, now that a lot more mechanics are more known, and the players are just better positioning, everything. And when it comes to how do I think they will place, I like the 3 you mentioned, Mblade, me, Gamer, and I'm Gamer, and Wolf. I do think they're gonna place fairly high, to be honest. Like, I do feel like there's a chance. Well, actually, in season 5, those 3 players were top 8. I feel like it's gonna happen again, and maybe it's a bold claim to say out of the top 5, maybe 3 are simple. Actually, I'll say 2, just for the safe pick.
Wow. That is a very bold claim. Wow, that's going to be very interesting to see how that shapes up. We're already about halfway through the half hour. And so I think I want to switch to topics, because I think we've talked a lot of, we've been speculating a lot, but one thing I will say is the only way to tell is after we see the challenger. To be honest with you, once we've seen the challenger and then see the open coming up, I think we'll have a better sense of who's who and where everyone stands. And so
Absolutely.
so I believe now is a good time to start moving on to a new division of court, the asynchronous division, which I recently proposed and will be soon to bring it to light. Very soon, the opening tournament, the July Open, expected to start on the Monday, and there seems to be a good amount of interest. We got about 14 or 16. I think it was 16 last I checked. 16 participants in the singles. Although we only got 2 doubles teams so far, I've been telling you, to anyone that's watching this stream, be sure to try to find a doubles partner so we can run those doubles tournaments. But anyway, what do you think this brings in terms of player base to the league as well as to Showdown? And how do you think this was going to change everything?
Wow, yeah. To be honest, I don't know what's going to happen because this is such a new concept, at least for me, and I'm really curious to see what happens. I really think that it's going to have a very positive effect in the league. And not only that, but I think since people are going to play more, technically, the level, as like I said, is going to increase. So I really don't know how the rankings are going to play out. It could be anyone. Maybe asynchronous changes a lot of matchups. You never know. That tournament pressure does affect players more or less depending on their mentality or experience. So to be honest, no clue. I'm just really excited to see what the results are and how it plays out.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Although one thing I will say, I failed to mention this earlier when I was outlining the rules and guidelines. The format is going to be slightly different. As I can see from the league polls right now, which is what I'm pulling up, most people want it to be dependent on it could be single or double elimination. And considering, dependent on the size of the field, and considering the fact we have 16 people to start at the July Open for the singles tournament, we may just have a single elimination tournament. Although, one thing I failed to mention is that the Opens are all going to be best of 3 sets for every round. The Masters are going to be best of 3 sets for every round, except the semifinals and finals, which will be a best of 5 sets. And contrary to the rest of the league, the Grand Slam tournaments in the asynchronous division are going to be the first court tournaments that have 5-set matches for the entirety of the tournament.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
that is going to make things a lot more interesting. How do you think things will shape up there?
Wow, 5 sets, the whole tournament. Wow, that will definitely show who's flexible and who can resist long matches, because some players like to end it quick, some players like to conserve their energy. So that definitely changes matchups, and I think a lot of players will either grow from it or they will get tilted really quick, to be honest. Especially if they come after like a quick 3-set loss, But yeah. Apart from the 5-set matches, sorry to ask, but what else did change? 3 sets Masters, right?
Yeah, Opens and Masters are 3 sets all around. The only difference is the Masters. Well, the Masters is pretty much the same as the normal Masters. The 2 changes are the Opens. The Opens used to be 1 set with 3-set semis and finals. Now the Opens are 3 sets all the way.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like the reason why I did this is, there's no time pressure. So, why not have people play like a proper match rather than just getting blown out in a set, especially if it's a single elimination tournament. Like, you could just have a really rough start, find yourself down like 5-2 or something, and it's pretty much unrecoverable just as you start to play well, because you're bound to make unforced errors throughout the match, and then you lose it 6-2 and you're out of the tournament. I don't want that to happen. So to prevent that, to counter the single elimination bracket, I will be making the matches best of 3 at the very least. So that way, both players have ample time to warm up and definitely make it a more competitive match.
Yeah, and apart from that, I also feel like players are gonna get to know each other more, because one set seems long, but sometimes you don't get enough time to analyze their serves or their spins. That
Exactly.
way, it's like it's a very mental battle. You definitely have to grind it out. I really like it, and I do think this is not related with the sets, but the synchronous part. I do think that could hype some matchups, because in a synchronous tournament, everything goes so fast, right? Normally, the hype matchups are the one at the end because everyone is
Yes.
looking at it. But asynchronous, it could be like real life match where it's like it's gonna happen, so you get hyped before, like, oh my god, Jolo tilted. Oh wow, I want to watch that match.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember this is following the style we did in season 1, and I remember Kings of Court, the very first season, the first semifinal, Woolwert Yakami was absolutely hyped, and it was prime time at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And so you had Tommy and Aerith show up midway through the match, and were like
Wow.
coaching actually both of the
Wow.
players. It was that competitive. It was a 4-set thriller, which Woolward eventually won in the end. And that's where he earned his classic wall shot, which is
A
where you
wall
just hit the
shot.
top of the net cord and bounce in. So
Yeah. Wow. I wish I was there to see that match. That
yeah,
sounds
no, it
exciting to
definitely
be
was
honest.
an exciting match to say the least. But one more question regarding the asynchronous division: how do you think this will affect um matchups and games in the synchronous division? One thing to note is that obviously the rankings will be separate, and points cannot be added from one division to the other. So, number one question would be: do you think the rankings are going to look a lot different between divisions, and do you think that this is going to affect how players play in the synchronous division?
Yes to both. I think it will affect more the matchups because, like I said, you get to know someone in detail, and there are a lot of playstyles out there that do depend on like surprising the opponent, getting like 3 quick games and carrying that advantage to the end, right? But you can't do that if it's a best of 3, or if you play them so many times with so many sets in between. So I do feel like some matchups are going to change a lot. Um, Especially those players that they have but one big weakness because you get to practice it more than the synchronous games. So it's I'm not explaining myself quite well, but for example, I would put myself as an example because if you find my weaknesses, which is easier to do if you're playing in both leagues against me, and especially in the synchronous one where it's best of 3 or best of 5,
You mean
right?
asynchronous?
Asynchronous, yeah, sorry, asynchronous. If you find that weakness and you start to exploit it every time we play, then the matchup changes on in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's for the better because I do think that the levels will increase, and I think the players have to be more adaptable. They can't be a one-trick pony, because their secret will get found out, and then it's pretty much over. So less secrecy, more adaptability, and I think more games, which means more level. I'm really happy with this asynchronous thing. And yes, I do think the rankings are gonna be different. I don't think by a lot. I'm gonna be honest.
So
I do
mainly,
think.
mainly looking at the order, would you say would they be different?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the since the schedule is really different. I guess. I guess honestly, like the two things that I feel will affect the difference in rankings are the difference in schedules and who participates in both. Like because maybe there's a top player that doesn't participate in the synchronous for whatever reason, and that changes rankings. So I do think they'll turn out very differently, especially at the end of the season. Actually, at the beginning as well. But I feel like I don't know. It's not because of the matchups. Well, yeah, I don't know. To be honest, now that I think about it, it's hard to answer that because there's so many variables. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think we'll just have to see.
All right. That was a great answer for you, gamer, and thank you for joining me here. There's 5 minutes left in our half hour, So I just want to open up open court to anyone that is here. So that's pretty much just Hanzo, I think. But to anyone viewing, if you have any questions, feel free to use the YouTube live chat. Hanzo, since you're here, do you have any questions for us to potentially answer, look over, anything at all?
He
It
left
could
the
even
VC,
be
but
it could even be questions about the asynchronous division. Doesn't have to be anything regarding season 6. We I just like to open the floor up for that for the last 4 minutes now of the of the first episode. Um, so is he alive?
I don't think so. I think he literally left before the question
Well, no,
segment.
he's
Which,
still here in the game. I see him in the back, but
is he moving or
he's
no?
not
He's
moving.
yeah.
No,
Well,
he was
maybe we
moving.
can. Do
Yeah,
you want to talk about like a random topic instead?
yeah, no. I mean, we can talk as much as we want until, someone asks a question. Something to, let me think. So who do you think is going? Oh, here's an interesting question. Let's bet on how many people, do you think are going to show up for the first tournament? What number do you want to say? Oh, Squid
Hmm.
joined. Oh, maybe he wants to ask a question. I think he was
Yeah.
listening. I think he was listening on the YouTube live. But Squid joined. Do you, so just message him when he gets in the game if he wants to ask a question. But gamer, let's bet. How many people do you think are going to show up to the first tournament?
Okay. Based on how many people reacted to the event thing,
Well, there's
which
only
is
7, including
7.
myself. So
Yeah. So 6, but I think that's like a lot of people don't know the event thing. So I will say minimum 6 if they all come. So I will go with a spicy 12. Maybe I'm too ambitious. Is that
12.
ambitious?
12. Wow. I'm gonna be more reserved. I'm gonna say 9.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but I do hope we have at least, the minimum to run a tournament for at the very least. Um yeah, we
But by the way,
got about 3 minutes and counting. Squid, ask Squid. Does he want to ask Squid? I don't know if you're in the chat. Oh, hello, Squid. Do
he's
you
in the VC.
Squid? Do you
Oh,
want to ask a question? To us?
he says
No,
no.
no. I think that's a no, right? No, he just wants to hang out. All right. Um. Well, we have about 2 minutes, but I think we went over everything we needed to go over. For anyone else that has questions, just be sure to submit it to me or Gamer, and we'll be sure to respond to them in the next episode of Off Court. Thank you all for joining us on this Saturday morning. Be sure to tune in to the upcoming Cancer Challenger, which will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. British Summer Time, because I know a lot of people use that time zone. The streaming will be done on the court server as well as on Warner Media. Be sure to tune in there. Show some support. We have a that's probably something else I should have brought up in the podcast. Me and Warner Media agreed to cover the whole season, entirety of season 6. So big thanks to them. Be sure to support them. Discords below. And that's pretty much it. So thank you all for joining us for Off Court, first episode of Off Court. We'll be back to you in the next 2 weeks after the Open, before the next Challenger, to recap what's happened so far in the season, update you on any changes, definitely update you as well as the asynchronous division. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Say goodbye, Gaver. Thank you all for watching. We'll be sure to see you next time.
Yeah,
And
thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
tuning in to